Hello and welcome. I am No Coffee, No Life, and today we're going to be building at this Airstream trailer just north of Yellow Sandy Still in the Savage Divide. A couple of things that you need to know when you build here. Number one, it's pretty quiet. You can have hostile mobs spawn here. It's not very common. For the most part, you are going to get non-hostile small spawns like rabbits and toads, chickens, and the foxes that you see behind me. They are also creatures that spawn here. So you get pets for free, which is great. It's a nice perk for camping here. Another thing you need to know is that if you are going to place anything in the Airstream trailer right behind me, you're going to need, once again, a dirty bath mat or similar floor covering. This is going to be a nice compact build. So, now that everything's out of the way, let's get started building. Since we're keeping this build small, we're going to lay 2 foundations directly behind the trailer. It's not going to be a very giant build. It's going to mimic what you see at Yellow Sandy Still, just to the south of us. So when you make things bigger, it's harder to convincingly make it look like it fits. Do you understand what I mean? Because the bigger you build, the more obvious that you're working with those standard box shapes that Bethesda's given us. And while they're not bad, they're not as organic looking as things like, say, the shacks from Fallout 4. You know, where they're a little wonky looking and out of place. So I'm just building this really quick since it's sharing a similar footprint size to the shacks just to the south of it. And I'm putting junk walls on the sides to make it look a little rougher, a little imperfect, like this porch entrance area is rough, like the shacks, like those assets. Obviously, this isn't one of those shack assets, but I've made it look as close as possible. And I'm using, again, this turbine as my power source. And I'm just doing the minimum for power connections on the roof, just so that I can feed my power throughout the whole structure without any issue. And I'm going to get rid of that cold light because I'm putting these cage lights in because they put a nicer, warmer light in the building. And I'm just kind of getting the outside, everything in shape so it looks, you know, like it belongs. I say that a lot, but it really makes the difference when you take your time. Since this is a small space, I want you to understand, put those rugs down first, because when you're building this tiny, everything's fighting you, even if it's the stuff that you make that you're not relying on the real world. Especially when you're using a low angled roof like I am here. I made a concrete headboard with nightlight for this shack because I wanted it to look a little more cluttered. I wanted it to look like maybe this person was a little paranoid and didn't just want to rely on the wood to protect them while they slept, because that's where the bed's going to go, and the bed's going to be a little off kilter because I don't want to line it perfectly up against the wall. This is somebody's supposed to be living here. It's supposed to look lived in. It's a shack in the boonies. Your closest neighbor is the Wendigo Cave to the north. I mean, you have bigger problems if you live here than worrying about whether or not your bed is perfectly aligned against the wall. I mean, really. This is the only wallpaper I'm putting up because it's a small print and it goes with the ambient lighting in this room. But you might put something different, and it's personal taste, just like all camp design decisions. I'm putting the wind chime because I don't need that artificial harsh light. And our little cast iron stove in the corner because we have room for a small fireplace here, even if the space is small. I'm going to add this sign to the wall to add a little more light to the area and to break up the wall space a bit. You'll have to place the chunkier version of this sign lower if you want to use it in heated space. I'm putting stuff here now because I'm going to put a shelf above it, and I don't want there to be any conflict between me putting things underneath the shelf. Afterward, if you're too close to the bottom, it won't let you place because it's such a small space. I'm gonna put little Halloween cat there. And the ship in a bottle, which sits nicely. Decorate the walls with the minimum medication today. Clutter up the place a bit more with some nice plants. Just a couple plants. You can't go wrong with plants. I'm gonna put a TV in here. This is probably the only non-warm light I'm gonna place in the shack. Mainly because I want there to be a little TV in there. I like sticking the TVs into my builds when I can. I know that obviously we can't watch TV in game, but I like having them there anyways because they're a reminder of the world that doesn't exist anymore in Fallout. And I think people would still be, thinking about that world regardless of how much time has passed, because they're survivors and they're still kind of mourning the world that once was. I'm going to put a little plant in here because you can't have enough plants. They provide the best clutter. I'm going to put a painting here on the wall to further clutter up the wall. It should look busy. Makes it look a lot richer. Another rug, because just like you can't have enough plants, you can't have enough floor coverings. A simple bench, a chair as a side table, because sometimes it is nice to have something other than a box or a table next to the bed. We can use whatever we want. It's our build. Last but not least, I am going to put a shelf in here that's loaded with stuff, just like in the Toxic Valley video that I did. I'm gonna load it up with stuff. And I'm going to start off with this low nuclear winter stash box that if you work at it, you could probably still get now before they get rid of nuclear winter. You just have to be a bushwookie or kill others in the mode. But we're going to throw some plants on the top and that little sheep squatch. And eventually I will place a mini keg from the Nuka Shine stuff. I can't remember whether it's a quest reward or it's a plan. I think it's a quest reward at the end of the Nuka Shine quest chain. But yeah, we're just gonna sink it again so that it lines up with that top shelf just underneath the top of the shelves. Eventually. There we go. And there we have a full shelf. Everything is sitting there nicely, and it's full without any conduit or rugs. The only thing left to do is add some stuff to the top of it, and that's easy enough. A couple of steins. Everybody has these, and if you don't, you will soon enough. Oh, and a topiary cat. We love topiary cat. There's the radio. Not that I need a radio, but I used it. I put this rough door in, and now we're gonna go right into the Airstream trailer. Everything in this trailer requires that you use the mats, like I mentioned before, for placement. Literally everything. We're gonna move the stove first into the trailer. I've already combined the stove and this console. It's personal choice. You could pick whatever table or console you wanted to combine the stove with. But there it is. We're gonna move some lights in so we have a better idea of what we're doing in here, because it's really dark inside the trailer, but it lights up great. It's beautiful when it lights up. As you can see, I cannot put this down without its accompanying mat. So I'm gonna add it to the mat, and I'm gonna add all the decorations on it first before I place it on its mat and move it into the trailer. And we're gonna set them down on the lower shelf and then move it right into the trailer as it is right now. And I will place it, and there we go. Just adjusting it a little bit so that it's a little closer to the side wall. We're gonna set this box here, for an additional counter space and get this chair in with its accompanying plant to clutter up the area a little more so that it's nice and full. We're going to add our armor workbench on the other side of the trailer, right next to the weapons workbench that comes with this site. It's already here, you don't have to add it, which is nice. And we're going to inset this ammo station right into the side wall of the shack, just pushing it in far enough so that you can see some of the wood coming in through the back of the ammo workstation. Give it a little more texture and have it look like it actually, has been there for a while. Not that it's just sitting right next to the shack, but that it's actually inside of the shack. See? You can see the wood right through the back. It's right in there. No space between the back of it and the side of the shack. Add a stash scrap box combo. Here is the completed trailer. I put a little tub with a bunch of junk there. I have cluttered up this side of the trailer. I've added some posters and signs. I ran the power through because I needed to get power in here for the registers. Let's see, I've got one register there on that little ammo box and the other on the folding table. And I have obviously run the power through. It's kind of inelegant, but there's not very much that you can do here. It's a really tight space, and the invisible walls, the hitboxes are not your friend in here. So it takes a lot of time and effort to get things to sit right in here. We have a little grill, another bench and flowers, and our favorite guitarist, wandering person, ally, a little farm area, and the front end of our shack, which has been cluttered up with some chairs, an ice cooler, some other junk. I've got some antlers up there. You can see the completed interior of the shack, and my chicken. A chickens spawned for me when I filmed this part, which is great. But my favorites, and I don't think I have them in this video, were the frogs that spawned, because they crackle, the little baby frogs, and it's great to have them here because they provide light, especially at night when you have them spawning in here, the little blue crackling lights. But yeah, chickens. Naturally occurring chickens. And water. The water stand with the barrel collecting rainwater. It's probably not good for you to drink straight from the tap. But obviously it is because, it's purified water. And clearly our guitarist is playing the tuba. That's the workstation. I cluttered up the wall. But that's it. And and these chairs come with the place. You don't have to set them down. And when you sit at them, you have this lovely view of the mire, and you can see Tingara from this cliff. That giant tree where the town was. And when you sit here in the morning and in-game morning, you can actually see the sunrise over the mountaintops, which is kind of cool. It's interesting, and you can see obviously parts of the cranberry bog here too. We're in a good spot for that. But it's great. It's a really great spot, and it's really neat to build here. You could probably build a bigger camp here. I didn't, because it's a spot that kind of lends itself to making it small. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I liked building here. You probably will too if you decide to build. Until next time, happy building in the wasteland. Is it there? It is! Best pet ever. Little frogs.